Hey guys, welcome back to Bombchu. I'm Austin, and today I'll be looking at the Humble Monthly Bundle from June 2019. The heat is on, and it's only just begun. Finally time to hit the pool and have a barbecue. But when the sun sets and the party is on, it's time to switch from diving into the water to diving into this bundle. Let's do it. This month's Humble Original is Macdows 95, a really strange game involving a really strange operating system. Your goal is to complete some really obscure tasks using programs that all run a bit strangely. For example, there's a paint program, but the colors have minds of their own. This calculator spins. I was only able to figure out one task so far, and every time I said I was about to quit, some new weird thing would catch my eye. It's weird, it's hard, but it's certainly interesting and worth a look. "911 Operator" is a game where you play as a 911 operator. You get an overview of a map and dispatch police, firemen, and ambulances to emergencies that pop up around town. You also have to take 911 calls, and it's up to you to get the proper information, as well as determine if the call is an actual emergency or not. Taking care of emergencies in a timely manner increases your reputation and helps you earn money for equipment, vehicles, and additional staff. Mess up, and you'll lose a lot of reputation. And be careful, some of the calls can be a little tricky. This one is a lot of fun, and it's just easy enough to keep me from getting super stressed out, though I played it on normal. I'm certain the harder difficulties can provide a challenge if that's what you're seeking. Even cooler is the fact that you can download the map of the area you live in and use that as the play area, which is something I can't wait to try out later. Red Faction Guerrilla Re-Mars-tered is the third game in the Red Faction series, switching the franchise to a third-person view. As usual, dynamic destruction is a focus, as you smash down walls and blow up buildings. You're part of the Red Faction, who are rebelling against the Earth Defense Force on Mars. Your goal is to liberate areas by taking out EDF buildings, and doing missions to improve Red Faction morale. The original version of this game came out 10 years ago, and for its time, its destruction was pretty impressive. And with this remaster, the game isn't terrible to look at. The gameplay, however, does seem to have aged a bit, with other games like Just Cause coming into the scene and doing a lot of what this game does, but better. Also, if you're using a controller, the controls are ass backwards in so many ways. It's a pain to get used to. If you're a fan of the series or have been curious and somehow never picked this one up when it was on sale for as low as $2 in the past, it might be worth a shot, but I've got better stuff to play. If you watched last month's sneak peek at Call of Duty Black Ops 4, the situation has changed a bit, and I've updated part of my review. Call of Duty Black Ops 4... How did Call of Duty go from being universally praised back in the days of COD 2, to new heights in Modern Warfare, to, well, one of the most reviled franchises in gaming today? Personally, I think it was when they stuffed in zombies, but what do I know? Let's look at the bad first. Call of Duty is a yearly franchise. It's very by the numbers, and when it makes a change, it's usually copying a competitor. Call of Duty has some of the most expensive DLC, with a lot of the maps being maps from old games, meaning even less work went into the DLC that you're buying. On top of that, Call of Duty now has microtransactions, and as of February, loot boxes, which don't just contain cosmetics, but also characters and weapons. I played Black Ops 3 for a bit, and I thought the story was dumb as hell, but there are a lot of people who really love Call of Duty for the story, and that's gone here too. There exists no Black Ops 4 story. It was replaced by a Battle Royale mode called Blackout, which we'll get to in a bit. Last month, the early unlock started off as the Battle Edition, which cut the Zombies mode, and that pissed off a lot of people. So eventually it was upgraded to the Standard Edition of the game, containing multiplayer, Blackout, and Zombies mode. Unfortunately, many of the people who really wanted Zombies mode went ahead and paid $20 to upgrade to the Standard Edition. However, many of those people were denied refunds when they reached out to Blizzard support because their purchase was more than 2 weeks ago. A real slap in the face, to be sure. Alright, let's talk about the good. I played Call of Duty 2, and then I didn't touch the series again until the multiplayer mode of Black Ops 3 was included in a monthly bundle a while back. And I tried it, and damn, I can't lie, when you get down to the actual gameplay in a match, I was really having fun. Gunplay felt great. Kill streaks were great rewards, but also decently fun to deal with when the enemy team got them. Everything surrounding the gameplay was still gross, but playing a match was damn fun. It was like dating a terrible person who's great at sex. So much about it makes you want to leave, but damn, something makes you want to stay, at least for a little while. With that past experience, I came into Black Ops 4 with an open mind, and I came out disappointed. Gunplay is fine, but it doesn't have that excellent feel it did in 3. You make a lot more noise when you run now, which I guess is a change they made along with adding Battle Royale. Your stomping is like really obnoxiously loud. The worst part is the game has nasty stutters, despite me running it on a powerful system and from an SSD. And this was after getting the game fully downloaded. The game is super CPU heavy, using 40% of my 5820K processor, just in the menu. If you have a PC that should technically be able to run this game, try setting the CPU priority to high or real time. It fixed the stutters for me, but for a AAA game, you shouldn't need to mess with that. Blackout mode is fine, but not great. There are other better Battle Royale games out there which are free, and which get so many updates to keep them fresh, whereas Blackout has an expiration date. It's a fun distraction if you really like Call of Duty and want something else to do, but I personally think they'd have pleased a lot more people with the campaign. Finally, we have Zombies mode. I've never particularly enjoyed this mode, both because it feels out of place, and I just don't have that much fun repeating it over and over again, but I get why it's appealing to many. This is the closest you'll get to a story mode, and I'll admit it has a slick cutscene to start off with. When it comes time to play, make sure you gather up some friends, because this mode was not meant to be played by yourself, and I couldn't find a match with strangers online. I went ahead and started a custom match by myself, and a minute in, my solo custom session was lost. Have I told you how well this game is made yet? If you're not limited on bandwidth or hard drive space, feel free to give Black Ops 4 a try, but otherwise, I would avoid it. Duskers is, I don't know how to simply describe this game. You control a set of drones, which you send out to abandoned ships to salvage for scrap, parts, and fuel. You can navigate individual drones directly, or you can issue them commands from a command prompt, which is super useful, and my favorite way to play. Usually one of your drones will need to power a generator to allow you to open doors throughout the ship. You'll have to strategically move through the ship, making sure to avoid and trap any threats that might be lurking. One wrong move, and you can lose everything very quickly. Thankfully, you don't have a time limit, and you can take as much time as you need to think and explore. I really like this one, and I encourage you to check it out. Paratopic is an experimental horror game that gives me vibes from 30 Flights of Loving. Graphics are like an old-style Quake, and voices are garbled and warped, giving everything a really weird atmosphere that I totally dig. The game makes very sudden jump cuts between scenes at times when you least expect it. It's really hard to figure out what else to say about the game without giving away things you should just kind of experience firsthand when you play it. So I'll just tell you that it's short, less than an hour, and there is apparently no saving, so just give it a play and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's out there, it's interesting, and I'm glad I got to experience it. Pool Panic is a bizarre pool game from Adult Swim Games. You control the cue ball, and your goal is to shoot all the balls into the holes before hitting the 8-ball in. Simple enough, right? Well, you can walk around freely, and many of the balls have personalities that affect how you have to approach them. Like one that rages and slams all the balls elsewhere, or one that dodges whenever it sees you coming. The levels get more and more ridiculous as you go, until you get to the point that they don't even resemble pool tables anymore. This is a weird one, but it's also pretty funny. Very on brand for Adult Swim. So overall, how was this bundle? Everything here outside of Call of Duty and Red Faction was very different, and that's the kind of stuff I love to find in Humble Bundles. Duskers in particular I am itching to play a lot more of. That game is super cool. It's kind of funny that the weakest titles here were the 2 AAA games, and the indies all carried the hell out of this bundle. This month's bundle only had 7 games, and we usually get 8 or more. I still like what we got, but it's worthy of note, and I wouldn't be surprised if Call of Duty's Zombies mode took a game slot. So how much bang for your buck was there? Getting all these at full price would cost about $139, while getting these at their lowest sale price would be about $65. A low value compared to most months for sure, especially with Call of Duty generating most of the cost for both scenarios. Overall, I'd say this bundle was cheap, but still fun. If you like weird stuff and indie titles, there's a lot here for you. And if you think all indie games are trash, well then you probably got this bundle for Call of Duty, and should be pretty happy anyway. Next month's bundle includes Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, and Moonlighter. Let's take a sneak peek. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice is a journey through madness and hell. You play as Senua, who is dealing with psychosis. She constantly hears voices. Some jeer at her, a few encourage her, several of them disagree with each other. The way this is handled is excellent, and it made me constantly feel judged by those imaginary voices that I just couldn't successfully ignore. The big draw here is the incredible art, especially given that this is not a AAA game. As a trade-off, the gameplay is a little simplistic, but it's still enjoyable, and largely exists to tell a story and show off the gorgeous Viking hellscapes. You'll mostly be exploring, solving puzzles, and engaging in combat. Puzzles are generally perspective-based, asking you to find a sigil in the environment or to look at something from a certain point of view. Combat is pretty simple with a light attack, strong attack, kick, and dodge, and not a ton of enemy variety, but it's still fun. The game also comes with the threat of permadeath, as a black mark takes hold of Senua's arm. When you die, the mark spreads, and if it reaches your head, your progress is wiped. Supposedly. The game tells you this, but I've heard conflicting reports on if it's true or not. If that turns you off, I wouldn't worry about it because the game is pretty easy. And assuming there is permadeath after a while, I have yet to hear of anyone dying enough to lose their save file. And this game is too good to miss for a reason like that. This also comes with the VR version of the game, which a lot of work went into to make it fit. A lot of people like it, but personally the camera being frequently taken over by cutscenes made it kind of uncomfortable for me to play. But if you have a VR headset, it's worth a shot. Moonlighter is a roguelite in which you run a shop where you sell loot that you gather at night in the dungeon. On its own, this is a cool concept, but you also have to figure out how much to price different items for. When you place items out, customers will react to the price. If it's too high, they'll be upset. Too low, and they'll be way too happy. A normal smile means you've priced it just right, but don't get comfortable just yet. If you flood the market with a particular item, you'll kill demand and you'll have to lower the price. Just as well, if you haven't sold something in a while, demand may go up and you'll have to raise prices to avoid someone taking advantage of you. The items you can sell in your shop can also be used to craft items and equipment, with money going towards upgrading your town and your shop. On the combat side, it's about what you would expect. Randomized layouts, fight monsters, try not to die. If you are afraid of losing progress, you can warp out with a pendant, but it costs 200 gold, so you better have gotten some decent loot to sell in the shop. This one is really fun, and it's surprisingly satisfying to adjust prices to look for that sweet spot. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't joined our Discord, you totally should. We have active discussions, giveaways, and a great sense of camaraderie. Mostly. Finally, a big thank you to Gabriel Skaggs, Michael Slater, and all our patrons over on Patreon. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.